Hey everybody, Fergie with recordingcrave.com. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I greatly appreciate it. Hey, in this video, I want to talk to you today about 3 ways to tighten up your mix by aligning audio files to be more in time with each other. You know, in a perfect world, everybody's going to play their part and it's going to just work out great and everything's going to be lined up as they play, but sometimes it doesn't always work out that way. So what I'm going to show you in this video, 3 different ways that I move audio around to get it a little bit tighter so it sounds more professional, it sounds commercial ready. So let's take a quick listen to this little sound sample and we will jump into these tips. Okay, you can hear at the very first part of the song where the keyboard is right on that downbeat and the bass is just a little bit behind on some of those downbeats. So the first tip I want to show you, let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, that first bass part coming in is right on the money. So that is, second one's late. So we need to adjust the second one. The first tip I'm going to show you, and I don't use this a lot unless I absolutely have to. What I'm using is the elastic audio over here. So I'm going to come over here, click that little icon, and then come down to monophonic. And then I'm going to come over here and go to warp. And you can see where it changes the look of these WAV files. Now I'm going to back out just a little bit. And what I want to do is move this file to come in with this downbeat of that keyboard part, which is on the grid. Okay, so now if somebody's just a little behind or ahead of the beat, I don't mind that. But when it's on a part like this where it's critical that those notes are lined up, then I have to go in there and adjust it because it's critical. Otherwise people will hear it, it's going to sound off. But in other cases where there's a lot of movement going on and somebody's playing behind or ahead of the beat, I mean, not too extreme, I will leave that because I like that human feel to it. I don't like everything to the grid. And I don't do a lot of to the grid stuff, but on this part it needs to be in sync with each other. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here, I'm going to push shift and then click on the line, and you can see it put these little markers down here. And what I'm going to do, and if I didn't put those markers down there, if I try to move this either way, this whole WAV file is going to move, and I don't want that to happen. So pushing shift and then clicking on this marker here will take the markers in front and behind and will prevent them from moving. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm going to move this bass WAV file up to the grid line. That is right on the money now with that downbeat of that keyboard. You can also see that it moved the tail end of this a little bit. So let's listen to that, make sure that didn't make a wonky sound. I'm going to solo that. No, it didn't. So that will work. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come up here and go back to waveform. And then I'm going to come over here and make sure you do this. And I'm going to hit the elastic audio and then go to none. And then it's going to ask me if I want to commit what I just did, and I do. So I'm going to commit to that. Okay, so that is tip number 1, using elastic audio to move your WAV file around. So now those first 2 bass notes coming in with the keyboard are right on the money. That one, on the other hand, that one's off. Okay, so now what we need to do, now this tip here, I'm going to come over here and put the cursor right on this grid line here, and we're working in grid mode. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to tab, hit tab to transient, and that cursor moves right up to the very first transient of that bass note. And we have to make sure when we do that, hit that tab button, that this button is checked, the tab to transient button is on. We have to make sure that. Now that I'm here, I'm going to push Command E. That's going to separate that audio. So what we've done is broken up this WAV file and that WAV file. Okay. Now we're going to come to this grid marker here. We're going to push Tab to transient again, and that'll take us up to the first transient of this bass note. Command E, that's going to break away from that part over there. Okay. Now I'm going to come back to this grid marker here, this grid line there. That's where we were when we hit Tab to transient, went to there. And I want to move that WAV file to that grid marker. What I'm going to do is push Control. Then I'm going to click on this WAV file. And what that does is automatically takes that WAV file and brings it right onto that grid line, right on that downbeat of that keyboard part right there. Perfect alignment. And that is known as snapping the clip to the cursor or the playhead. So that is a great tip. And then that works really well, especially if you're not in like a grid mode situation and you can't go by any lines at all and you're just going by other instruments. Then this works great because you can get it in perfect time with the other instruments you're trying to line up with. Okay. So now the next thing we got to do is that we're going to take this one and move it up to that. Okay. So this is the third way I'm going to show you. So I'm going to come over here again, hit that grid line, hit Tab to transient again, Command E to separate. Then I'm just going to drag this WAV file and it will line up with the downbeat of that keyboard part. So now we have all these parts right on the money. So now I'm going to come over here to this grid line and you can see that's pretty much on the money there. So that bass part right here is lined up. We don't have to do anything with that. So I want to push Command E and then I'm just going to drag this one again. And that takes it right up to that grid marker. Okay. Perfect. Okay, now what we're going to have to do is put some crossfades in there to make sure we don't have any pops and clicks. Okay, so I'm just going to put a crossfade here. You know, we are in grid mode, so if I grab this and put a crossfade, it's going to take that, and that will work. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to select, actually before I select this, I'm going to push Command, because we can temporarily go into slip mode by pushing Command and then clicking on this and dragging that out. If I didn't push Command, it would snap up here to this grid line up there. So I'm going to move that there. I'm going to put a fade in on that, but I have to go back and I have to push Command again because I want to adjust that size of the fade there. Okay. And let's see what we have here. Okay, so I'm going to put a crossfade in here, just a real light one. I'm going to move this one out just a little bit. So I'm going to push Command to go back into slip mode for just a short second. Let go, and I want to put just a really small crossfade right there. So I'm going to push Command again, and there's the crossfade there. Crossfade there, and then I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to push Command, drag that out just a wee little bit, put a really small crossfade right in there. And we did elastic audio warp right there, so we don't have anything to do right there. So now let's listen to it and make sure our crossfades are all good. That sounds great. That sounds really good. Okay, what I want to do here is where this cursor is, I'm just going to hit A. Then it's clean up. It's going to take up all the audio or any noise from there and delete it essentially. So I'm going to also come up here and do a fade in right to that first one so we can eliminate any pops or clicks by what we just did. Okay, now because I don't like all these little lines in here, now you may be fine with it and it's not going to affect anything, but I want to select that. I want to connect them all again, okay? So I'm going to select that. I'm going to come over here and push Shift and then select that one. Now it highlights them all. Then I'm going to go Alt, Shift, and then push 3, and it makes it one It connects all that. So now let's listen to it, make sure we didn't do anything goofy. So actually right here I heard something. So I don't like that. So I'm going to hit Command Z, go back, and I'm going to see what happened there. So let's tighten in on that. Okay, so I didn't put a fade there, it looks like. So I want to put a fade on this. I'm going to push Command and then bring that fade in like so. Push Command, bring that out, and do that. In fact, I might there just pull that curve down a little bit. It sounds like there's a little bass movement there, so you're hearing a little movement on the bass. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drag that in, push Command, drag that in just a little bit, see if we can lighten up that sound. Yeah, we lightened it up a little bit there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do that again, come over here, select that wave file, come over here, push Shift, select that wave file again, Alt, Shift, and 3. It's all one again. Let's just listen to it again for... Yes, that is perfect. All right, 3 different ways to adjust your clips in Pro Tools using the Elastic Audio Warp, snap the clip to cursor, and then also dragging it automatically. And then we did some fades, showed you a couple cool shortcuts in there too, a couple when you're in grid mode, how you can push Command and select the clip and you can temporarily be in slip mode. Great little shortcut there. So 3 tips on adjusting your audio to get your mix tighter, and a few shortcuts that I use all the time. So, hey, this is Fergie saying thank you so much. I would love it if you would like this video and subscribe if you haven't yet. And we will see you in the next video. Have a great day.